Hey guys, I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you the new version of the DDS Kit, which is a project by Vander. I'll leave the link in the description so you can check it out. And this kit has a few different versions, and this current version, which was recently released, brings some additional features. Actually, this version is an update of an older version. So the idea of the video is to show these new features of the kit that were added in the current version. So to assemble the kit, we're going to need an Arduino Pro Mini, a USB TTL converter, an encoder, an OLED display, an SI5351, and in this case I'm using this board which was developed for this project, but you don't need to have a board like this to assemble the kit. You can follow the schematic diagram that's available on the project website and assemble your kit your own way, whatever way you think is best, okay? So I have this kit here, and we're going to show you the updates, the new features of the kit. Remembering that the DDS Kit has a demo version that you can download from the website and assemble, and it will work. However, it is a demo version, so you need to buy a license to activate your kit and get all the features unlimited. So all this information will be in the link that goes straight to the project website. To assemble our kit, first I need to flash the firmware which we downloaded from the project onto our Arduino. For this, I'm going to use this USB TTL converter, which will transfer the information from the computer to our Arduino. To do this, we're going to connect a USB cable. First, we're going to connect our Arduino board to our converter. So let me plug this in. I don't recommend doing it the way I'm going to do it because I'm not going to solder this, okay? I'm just going to hold it in place, but there's a risk of a bad connection during the transfer, okay? So don't do what I do. I'll connect the USB cable here. Here is the board already powered on. Now let's go to the software. To load the firmware onto our Arduino, we're going to need Xloader, which is the program that transfers the firmware to the Arduino. Here is the user manual, and here is the file for the latest version, which is version 6.8a. So the first step is to open our Xloader. In this little box here, we're going to look for the firmware we saved. You see I have several versions here, version 7, version 6.28, 6.27, and 6.8a, which is the most recent version here. I'm going to open version 6.8a and select the file. So it's going to load this file into our software. I'll select the device here, which in this case is our Arduino 2009 Nano A, Nano Atmega 328, okay? Let's select our appropriate communication port here. Actually, it's not COM4, it's COM3, okay? Our baud rate stays at 57,600. Now I'm going to click upload. It will start the transfer. Okay, completed. Now I can close the application. So now that the file is flashed, our Arduino is ready, and I'm going to assemble it on the board, assemble the whole kit. So the kit is already assembled here, as you can see. I left the board slightly tilted here just so we can see the display better later. This is the SI5351 board, but it won't be connected directly. I put it here just so you can see how it would look here, but normally we'll install this board close to the radio's original VCO circuit, right? So here's the Arduino, the connections. On the bottom there are some SMD components too. And here on the front we have the display and our encoder. A TXRX LED goes here, but we're not going to install that either. So I'm going to power the board and we'll turn it on here to see the new features. I powered the board directly here, and let's take a look at the system, at the new features. You see I didn't install the potentiometer for the fine coarse adjustment, and I also didn't install the band switch, right, which changes LSB, USB, AM. So we won't be able to show those features, but the idea here is to show the new features in the menu. You see that in the new version, you have the frequency, remembering that it will be incorrect here because I don't have the adjustment installed. So it's going to look like this. So here we have the frequency. We now have an S meter to measure the signal level. Speaker indicator here, a speaker icon actually, beep indicator, or Roger beep. In this case, it's beep 00, meaning it's off, there's no beep. Operating mode indicator, which in this case is LSB, and the channel number, the 11-meter operating band. This limited indication shows that the system is not activated, meaning it's in the demo version, okay? When you get the activation key, then it unlocks all features without any limitation, okay? So it's going to be limited to 40 channels here. You see the encoder, I put a knob here to make it easier. The encoder is backwards, right? If I turn it left, the digit goes up. If I turn it right, the digit goes down. So we'll have to invert it in the menu. Well, I'll enter the menu, press and hold. I have channel mode here, it's backwards. I have to fix it in the menu later. So here we have the free band mode, which is the mode where you can configure frequencies without any standard channel limitations. And here we have the radio receiver, which allows you to listen to HF stations on the CB radio. But let's go to the adjustment mode. I'll enter it here. So here in adjustment, number 1 is the username. It's already coming up with the limited indication, which means the paid version is not activated. So it still needs to be activated. Menu 2 activates and deactivates the Roger beep. It has 20, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check here, but I think it's 20 Roger beeps. No, actually there are 15 now, right? It changed. It had 20 in the previous version, now it has 15. Anatel table is off. Anatel table means you'll only work with the 80 normal channels, right? So you can activate or deactivate it here. It's deactivated. Full channel mode. What would full channel mode be? It's that here in, let me exit the menu. Here in channel mode, it shows all these indications of signal level. Anyway, there are several indications. If you don't want that, if you just want the settings, just the channel indication itself and the frequency, then you go to the mode, full channel mode, and then you turn it off and leave just the basics. Then it will look like this. It will remove those bars and leave just the channel and the frequency. Next feature, clarifier unification. You can activate or deactivate clarifier unification. Screen brightness you adjust to. Transverter calibration in case you use a transconverter. Here you adjust the SI5351 crystal to correct any frequency error that might be there in the SI5351. The signal level of the SI5351, you can make a small adjustment to the signal level in this menu. Here you can activate CLK1 to define another frequency that can be generated there. Here you adjust offset. It's probably configured for Cobra 148 GTL. IF offset in this case is for receive. This one is for transmit. AM offset, AMTX, LSB-RX, LSB-TX, USB-RX, USB-TX. Maximum VFO frequency, you can limit the VFO frequency range within a parameter. You adjust it here. Minimum VFO frequency can also be adjusted here. Maximum positive channel, maximum negative channel, frequency filter, voice lock, HF mix frequency in case you use an HF receiver board, maximum RX frequency in the case of the HF board, minimum frequency of the HF board. Encoder type, you can use different encoder models. In my case, here it's the default model. Here we invert the encoder. See that I'm turning the encoder to the left for the menu to advance. So I make the correction in this menu, setting it like this. Now I can turn it to the right and it will follow normally. Here you calibrate the S meter. Here you enter the expert hardware configuration mode. So in here you have exit menu, hardware, enable the carrier, right? This version got this carrier feature. You can generate both the signal for the VCO and you can generate the radio's carrier. So in theory, you can deactivate the carrier, the radio's carrier circuit, and also the radio's VCO circuit and work only with the board. Now you have this option in the radio. So you can enable it here. Here you enable, in this case, the carrier. Here you define the internal capacitor of the SI, right? You can define its value, right? Usually it's 8 picofarads. You can select a display. In this case, I'm using a 0.96 display, but it allows working with other display models as well. This screen rotation allows you to invert, look, it inverts the screen 180 degrees in case you're going to mount the kit in a radio that requires this inversion. There's this option in the menu, okay? There, I went back to normal. So that's the rotation. Center the clarifier, which is that option to adjust the clarifier knob to 12 o'clock in the center, in the central position. And here you correct the frequency so it shows the correct frequency in that position. Clarifier monitor. This feature allows you to adjust the radio's clarifier, but the frequency shown on the display doesn't change. Normally, in the most common options, when you change the clarifier, the frequency on the display changes too, right? Indicating which frequency you are changing to. But if you want that when you change the clarifier, you don't change it on the display, you can configure it here in this clarifier monitor feature. Well, so I think that's it. There are no more features here. Let me go back here to exit the menu. I'll go back to the main menu. So we can also look at another interesting feature, which is the frequency scanning feature. Now with some options, you can set a continuous scan of all channels, or you can set a group scan where you will define groups of channels to be scanned. Okay? Here you configure the groups. You can add channels to the group. And here, yeah, group would be something like your favorite channels. So you can create a group of favorite channels and scan frequencies only for those favorite channels you defined. And here you exit the menu. Okay? So those are the new options for version
6.2a of the VFO DDS, remembering that the link to access the project website is in the video description and also in the pinned comment. And I hope it cleared things up for those who didn't know the DDS system. Okay? So that's today's video. I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video.